Welcome to the Healthy and Wealthy and Wise podcast with global sales trainer and professional speaker, Lois Kofi. Each week, it is her goal to share inspiration and education for you to be, do, have the best health and wealth and wisdom for your life.
Well, all right. Happy Friday, everybody. It's Coach Lois. I'm super excited for another live broadcast. Actually, this is the first live of April, and here we are. It's Earth Day week. It's almost the end of April, April 22nd. If you're tuning in, go ahead and comment below #live. If you're watching this, you're probably watching it from a few different spots. I have a Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Facebook community. So I just wanted to acknowledge those of you who are inside of that. And of course, on my fan page, Lois Kofi Enterprises, and YouTube, and a couple of other places, just because I want to get this amazing message out there today. We're talking about personal branding. So just if you're tuning in, comment below #live. And if you're even watching the replay, comment below #replay. And hopefully you're inside of my Healthy and Wealthy and Wise Facebook community, because that's where all of my guests are also. It's a group of like-minded, positive professionals who are looking for their best health, their best wealth, and their best wisdom in this new world that we have. And I'm so excited to talk about that in a different way than I ever have before today with you, Keasha Lee. I'll first go ahead and introduce you. I've known her for 2 years now. We've been in the San Diego area, both of us based, and she's a personal branding coach, a messaging mentor, a mom, and a leader. She's the founder of Striking Statements. And I'm so excited to have you here. I'm on your email list. I love your emails. I love your passion. We're both members of eWomen Network. And I'd love for you to share your story and how you got to be so passionate about personal branding.
Yes. Well, first of all, thank you so much for the generosity in having me here to speak and share in the energy of your wonderful community. My name's Keasha, and really the reason why I'm so passionate about personal branding is because I feel, and this speaks to the core of my business, Striking Statements, that every human, no matter where you're from, no matter what you do, has an inherent desire and birthright to be truly understood and heard. Okay. And so with that, as human beings, and what I have found through my career, from public relations to corporate sales to entrepreneurship, is that while we do have this desire and we each have our unique strengths and areas of genius or zones of genius, when you're unable to clearly convey what you do, who you help, why it matters with conviction, with authority, it really can stifle your impact and block your prosperity. And so I have created a business around supporting conscious, creative, brilliant entrepreneurs and coaches in understanding how to really use their voice, how to define their messaging and position themselves through their personal branding to truly make a striking statement in the world. Because when we're better able to make a statement and to come from a place of heart and soul and essence, that is really magnetizing, and it can really draw in the opportunities and the right people that can help propel your business to ensure that you have that reach and impact that you're here to make.
I love it. And you used one of my favorite new words, magnetizing, because I'm getting a certification called Magnetic Mind and how to magnetize. And so I'd like for you to speak more about that, because I think I see, because I do lead generation and sales strategies with people, and a lot of times they think they have to have the perfect lead generation strategy. They have to have the perfect to-dos, the how-tos, the perfect landing page, all of the things. But I know you and I both agree there's something much deeper there that has got to be uncovered first, right?
Yes.
And before they even get to that lead generation strategy, and just tell me if I'm wrong, because I don't want to assume anything, but to be able to make those striking statements through whatever lead generation strategy they have, whether it's email lists, whether it's podcasting, whether it's whatever, they gotta strike gold with what that purpose is or that passion, right?
Yes. So what you're asking, like, where does it really start?
Yeah.
Where do
How do
people
you uncover
start?
that? How do people
How
uncover
do you
that?
uncover? That is such a great question. So my answer to that is twofold. The first one, though, is to really get clear on what you stand for. It starts there.
Mm.
What your values are. What do you believe in? Some of my core values are creative self-expression,
Mm.
grace,
Mm.
clear, direct communication, integrity, and that's big with self and how that pours out,
Mm.
and love. Every when I create, I ensure it's backed by love, because words on a page may look static. Your messaging, your voice may feel like one thing, but behind it is energy. And
Mm.
so it's really important to get clear on what you stand for, because that's going to serve as your compass in terms of what you choose to say yes to, the opportunities, the partnerships, the clients, how you choose to show up, what you say. And the second part of that, in terms of where to start, the question I give to my clients and community when really starting to redefine or to revamp your personal brand is to ask yourself, how do I want to be remembered? What do
Mm.
I want, how do I want to be remembered? For me, this life of entrepreneurship and impact in business is about legacy as much as it is about the other things that come with it, right? The independence, the
Mhm.
creativity, the money. It's about the impact and the legacy. So how do I want to be remembered? Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And I guess, how do you work with people for them to find that, to dig into that? Is there any tips you have or anything that you like to share with the audience today?
Yeah, so I mentioned some things that are my I stand for, creative self-expression and integrity and love and grace. Um, I have this manifesto. It's a I stand manifesto. So when I work with my clients, I first of all ask them, we talk about what's the vision? Like, what do you foresee? What do you want? Where do you want to go in the next 2 years or 1 year from now? What does that
Mm.
look like, and how does that feel? And what's the impact that it has on your life over outside of the business, right? Because if
Mhm.
our business is, if we're doing well in one aspect, particularly in their business, then that's going to pour over into the other areas of our life, whether it's great or not so great, right? And
Mhm.
so it's about really envisioning what do you want, and how does it look,
Mm.
and then from there, looking at the choices that you're currently making or not, in terms of how you show up, in terms of the ways of making your offers, and really putting yourself out there with the intention. One of the things you asked me before we came on was, what is your intention? And I love that, because I'm so big on intention. So we get clear. But just to sum it up, just to give it some more context, I work in 3 areas with my clients. The first is uncovering their it factor. So when we look at
Mm.
the it factor, it's like, what is that thing that only you can do in the way that you do it? Because each of us has that, right? And
Mhm.
so much of it comes from the places where we've been told we're too much,
Ah.
right?
I
The
remember
it
you
factor,
speaking about that before. Oh boy, yeah,
yes.
please talk more about that.
So the it factor, and growing up, there are societal structures, familiar structural structures, and influences and conditioning where you just being you, the essence of you,
Mhm.
can be intolerable
Mm.
to some folks. And unfortunately, some of those folks that may have said, tone it down, you're being too loud, you're too inquisitive, you're too emotional, like you're too bossy, you're too direct, like stop. And that typically has come from authority figures, people from close to us. And that has an impact on us as we continue to grow.
Yeah.
And I'm here to shift that paradigm to say, look at those things. You can also look at the things that people you get the feedback from, right? From your audience, from your clients, from friends that are like, you're so good at that. But also that it factor is like, you're good at that, by and because of this inherent intrinsic thing that you do. And look at that. Look at the places where you felt too much or you've been told that you're too much, and embrace it and harness it, because that is the thing that's going to make you really radiant when you understand it and own it, for people. And that goes back to that magnetism piece. That's huge for personal branding.
I love it. You made me think of something. And then I have some other questions for you guys. And I just want to remind you, first of all, I want to give a shout out to Elizabeth Ibarra. Unfortunately, I can't see your beautiful face. I don't know what Facebook did. Facebook has been Facebook, right? So this is Elizabeth. You can't see her beautiful face, but she's here in the SoCal desert with me. She's a beautiful jewelry maker and a goddess expert. So thanks for being here today, Elizabeth. I just wanted to give you a shout out. But this is the time, guys, if you're tuning in, you can ask questions. That's why I do live shows. Most podcasters don't want to, but I love live studio audience questions. It's more fun, more authentic, more real. So don't forget, start making those comments and questions below now if you can. But anyway, you reminded me of that turning point for me in 2020, because I had always wanted to start a podcast, right? But I was terrified. Like literally, I hired a coach because otherwise it wasn't going to happen. And the week before my launch, Keasha, I was bawling my eyes out because I was so scared to speak my truth, to be seen, be heard as that. I'm actually a fairly loud, flamboyant extrovert. And, you know, I had kind of just hid as a little good girl for a while, being told by everybody outside of me what I should do, who I should be, how I should act for several years. And it was so soul crushing. So if I hadn't launched my podcast, to be honest with you, I don't know where I'd be, because it was a striking, bold move to use, striking statements to put myself out there, healthy and wealthy and wise. That creative self-expression is so scary. And so I don't know if you have any tips, any thoughts on how to champion people. And then I have another question, but I want you to answer that one first.
Yeah, well, you saw my reaction of that to the scary part. Absolutely. No matter, gosh, being seen and heard, it is a desire, but it's also really freaking scary to be truly seen. It is. And as we expand into greater levels of our next version, we're continually evolving and growing and expanding. There's going to be things that come up that say, "Oh, are you sure you want to do that?" And they're so convincing. I mean, it's the reasons that really stem from the fear, as you say, and really can make a lot of sense. I'm busy, I'm a mom, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a partner, I'm a friend, sister. Like, I can't do this, or maybe I don't need to show up online today. Maybe people don't really care about what I say about this. These are all normal. And my advice and suggestion to that, when we start to become dim and contract instead of expand, is to really, one, remember why you're doing this. And that once something becomes a part of your awareness, it becomes your responsibility. Okay. So when I say that, it's, you have a gift, you have a solution to serve and support others, right? That's what we do as entrepreneurs. We problem solve, we provide solutions to people, to things, to be of service. And when you have that, you've started this, you've been on the journey, when these things come up where you're tempted to not do the thing that you feel the nudge to, but you're scared to, just know it's normal. It's part of the process of growth. I would suggest getting some support if it's something that you really want to step into, like starting a podcast, launching a podcast, or transitioning your business into coaching, or starting to offer products as an offset of the services that you've been doing. Get the support that you need to outsource so that you can get that different perspective and to have that accountability and to to create a plan of action, a strategy. But you can also start by doing that and outlining that for yourself and comparing that to where you want to go, and why you're doing this in the first place.
Yeah, I love it. You sort of, it was perfect segue to my next question. But one of the things that you asked earlier is, what do you stand for? And I'll be honest with you, until I sat with similar questions, maybe not that exact same one, and journaling about it. It took me months to figure out the name of my podcast, right? Essentially, what do I want to make a statement about? What do I want to share with the world? Who do I want to attract? What do I want to talk about? What do I stand for? So it took meditation. It took, journaling. And I find a lot of people, again, I'm going to sort of repeat myself. It maybe ask a different question in a different way. A lot of people don't really know what they want because they've been told by so many people. When you said earlier, what do you want in the next 2 years? Most people are just looking at the immediate, I need to make money now. So what do you say to people that are like, I don't know what I stand for. I don't know what I want in the next few years. I gotta pay the rent. I gotta figure this out now, Keasha. So where there's fear and lack and all of that, but it's so heavily pressured on the external society views and all of the things. So where do you go with people when they say that?
Right. The people I work with are in a place where they've been in business, but obviously they feel that need to expand because there is a desire for more, right? And so, I have other people at different varying levels and places in their journey,
right,
are part of my community. So to speak to that, okay, yeah, we have the immediate needs. We do need to pay our bills. We do need food. We do need the core things of essential things of living life. My thought on that is to really, I love how you said journal. Like journaling is huge for me, and really exploring how things would look if none of those things were an issue. Like what truly, like in terms of, again, you're doing this for a reason. Yes, to generate some income. And beyond that, there's something else that you wanted, that you saw. Is it freedom? Is it to be able to create things in the way that your beautiful mind sees them, that others have been unable to, maybe previously? It's about tapping into the feelings of the things that inside, like inside, that lead you there. So I really am tuned into the conjuring of what it feels like and why, and then tying that back to what it is. How do you want to feel? Yeah.
I love that. Thank you so much. You just confirmed. I like to ask challenging questions because I get a lot of challenging questions from people. Again, most people think I need the lead generation tactics, Lois. I need just tell me how to do this. So I love what you're saying. I do have a question from Elizabeth. Yeah. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. She's asking, how do you recommend working through situational anxiety while being authentic and putting herself out there? I have a women's group, and sometimes there is dead air or no response to my powerful work. And I can attest to her powerful work. And she is an extrovert. She has no trouble putting herself out there. So what would you say to answer that?
For situational anxiety, when there's no feedback, when it's like, poof, right? When it's just out there. These groups can be, and specifically in a Facebook group, that was, yes, can be so fickle. I'm kind of in the same scenario with mine. So, for the situational anxiety, so your work is powerful. She said it, my work is powerful, and there's no, I would say maybe mixing it up in terms of perhaps doing a poll, gauging like, what is it? Like, what kinds of things would turn you on? And inside of a Facebook group, or this one in particular, is it the sharing of whatever your practices may be? I'm not sure what you do for what your business is, but is it freebies? Is it being able to share? Is it dialogue and engagement, opportunity, open forum. I would just explore and maybe do some questions asking to the audience in terms of what do you need? What would you like? How can I help you? Help me to help you. And that comes from
That's awesome. Yeah. And I know Facebook groups, and Facebook's changing things all the time. Like, I'm happy and grateful we're actually live streaming in Facebook today. So that's another general reminder too. Actually, that's a great question. Thank you so much, Elizabeth, for helping me. Do you have any best places or things to be showing up out in the world, online, offline, in making those consistent, striking statements for visibility, credibility, and profitability? So like Facebook groups or, YouTube or anything like that.
Yeah, like suggestions for the best places.
Mhm.
For sure. I'm all about helping my clients really us to define like what really works best for their style and for where their audiences are obviously, right? And understanding like how to reach the most of that particular segment with in a way that's aligned with who you are, what you value, and of course, we're all about stretching. So for me, okay, TikTok, like video is very, very important, right? We're on video right now. We're doing a podcast live streaming on video. And all of the platforms are really honoring that and rewarding that video. And so, however, you can do videos in a variety of ways, particularly on Instagram. I'll speak to that. Did you have a question? Or am I?
No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
I always look like
okay.
I have a question. I'm sorry. You're making my brain think. So I'm like, oh, I could ask that question, but I am not interrupting you. So please continue.
Okay. Not everybody, it really about knowing who you are and knowing what you stand for. This is practice. I say personal branding is a practice, just like meditation, just like yoga.
Mm.
I am a yoga teacher. I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. I use
Oh,
spirituality is a big part of my process of my life.
awesome.
And so think of it as a practice. It's never a one and done. We're always going to be tweaking and seeing how it goes and adjusting accordingly. So, for example, like okay, there's TikTok and then there's Reels that essentially offer the same thing: short clips of creativity or the opportunity to share some value, to show up, to get behind the scenes. Singing and pointing at words on a screen is not for everybody. And there's nothing wrong with it either if you enjoy it. But for those who feel like I got to do this and I got to do that, and I feel so stretched and I don't know where to really focus, and then it's making me crazy because I'm seeing all these cool ideas and
Uh,
I'm suffering from, we can talk about this later, comparisonitis, the affliction. Okay. So it's just like know your lane and be okay with exploring, but also understanding not everything is meant for you.
mm,
And that is okay too. It's extremely okay because when you really have that discernment as to, okay, LinkedIn is my thing, email is my thing,
mhm.
Facebook groups are going live stream, that's more of my thing, then really fine tune it because you're always going to have to adjust because the algorithms are changing, things are changing. Really focus in and hone in. But yeah, you should. I think having three places of exposure is great. The rule of three. That's my recommendation, and it's up to you to
Ooh.
figure out what those will be for you.
Write that down, guys. Write that down. And it's so ironic that you mentioned that because that's what I did in the pandemic. I started with webinars, then I did podcast, then I did Facebook group, and then after that, I tested out with LinkedIn. So it took me about a year. Would you say I'm going to ask you that because I specialize in the 12-week year and going all in and focusing on one lead gen strategy per quarter, essentially, because I
Mm-hmm.
find people are like you said, shiny object syndrome, comparison. Oh, that coach has a YouTube channel. Maybe I need again, right? That comparison
Mm-hmm.
syndrome. Can you talk more about that? Because we are wrapping up. So guys, we maybe have time for one more question, and then we're going to start wrapping it up. As you know, I like to keep these to 30 minutes. So talk about what you were mentioning about comparisonitis or whatever you said.
Yeah, it's comparisonitis.
Thank you.
So yeah, absolutely. That's my term I coined for perfectionism, fear of missing out,
Mm.
essentially consuming more than you're creating, and the consumption of looking around. There's nothing wrong. We are by nature of who we are as humans, connection and being able to have a reference point for things is essential. That's why we read and we're part of communities. As we can share, we can see what's possible. Other people in their journeys can show us what's possible for us. And so looking at others for inspiration or entertainment is fine. However, when we go down the rabbit hole of looking at what this Jane or Jack or Tony are doing and start to judge our own work and question our own worth, which is very detrimental. That's where that's when it becomes an affliction. And then we wait and say, it's not good enough just yet. It's not, I just need to do this other thing. I don't want to release this yet. It's not that. And what we're doing is we're withholding the magic. We're again stifling the impact. People need to hear what you have to say and see what you have to share in the moment, that in the process that you're in. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to be sincere. And you just do it and you're going to learn, right? It took you a year, Lois, to discover your particular strategy and what works best for you. Yeah. It can take even longer for some folks, and that's all right. The thing that matters is that you're exploring and you have a willingness to put yourself out there to try it, to see how it works. And so many brilliant people get caught up in comparisonitis, and that's why I included it as a segment in my course, and that's why I talk about it in my talks, because it's a huge thing. I am not excluded from having, gone down that hole and worked with it the sooner. And that's why I talk about the art of minding your own business. The art of minding your own business is the way that you can either prevent, which, it happens, but it also is a way to bring you back sooner to your own mission and goal, seeing, your community and how much it's needed. But that whole it factor, knowing your values and what you stand for, and being clear on like why you want this, why you're doing this, can really serve to support you with the comparisonitis affliction.
Yeah, and it'll help you stay in your lane. Since you mentioned it, let's talk about your masterclass and then where people can find you to connect with you.
Yes, so I have a on-demand masterclass called the Embody Your Message 3-part series. And so I have provided 3 core foundational steps to begin creating the messaging and embodying the energy for the personal brand and messaging that gets you noticed, remembered, and paid. So it is absolutely awesome. The videos are no longer than 10 minutes. I think the longest one is 8. You get an exercise and they're delivered straight to your inbox. So once you sign up, you're going to get the practical writing tips and powerful action steps to, as I said, make a striking statement and get noticed, remembered, and paid.
I love that. Noticed, remembered. And paid. That is so great. So I have the link on the screen right now, but for those of you who are in iTunes later, hearing this later, go and click on the link in the comments section or in the show notes. Thank you so much for giving us that class today, guys, and Keasha, and guys, you want to take advantage of that, especially since it's so consumable. And if you saw value in today's show, and I do have one more question for you. We'll I have a few announcements here. Please hit the share button because we went deeper, and this is a topic that's very near and dear to my heart because I see so many people getting stuck in their head about the to-dos and the how, as opposed to the why, the passion, the vision that she's talking about. So on that note, I wanted to remind you guys, and this is kind of a big announcement, next week, Thursday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, I'm going to be doing my last lead generation and sales masterclass for a while. And I am going to be honing in more on the actual, what is your best lead generation strategy right now. So it actually supports what we talked about today really beautifully. I won't be doing that masterclass again until the fall, and I don't know even when that's going to be. So please sign up. I will also put the link for that in the chat. And of course, if you're on my email list, you'll get that email as well. And if you're not on my email list, go to healthyandwealthyandwise.com, and I'll be forwarding that email to you guys so you can sign up for that. So last question for you, Keasha, is my favorite one to close out the show. When you hear the phrase healthy and wealthy and wise, what does that mean for you?
It means that the three of them together really, I think that's the life that I'm living and on trend to continue. Healthy, body, mind, and spirit, wealthy monetarily, wealthy in rich relationships and connection. Wise, the wisdom comes from experience and learning the lessons, really taking the lessons from the life experience and journey that we can impart within our business, within the way we raise our kids, within the relationships that we have. That's what that means to me.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for adding value to our lives today. I know I feel enriched and inspired on this fabulous Friday. So thank you so much. And guys, tune in next Friday. I have a really, really fun couple. And the joke is I have Joe Rogan coming next Friday, and people are like, what? Joe Rogan? And I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's not that Joe Rogan, but Amy and Joe Rogan, they call themselves the Rolling Rollins. They are the epitome of healthy and wealthy and wise. They have van life. They are on the road all the time. They're one of the first people I ever met that successfully live 100% in the van life world and the gig economy. And they live a very minimalist life, but have a lot of wealth and health. And we'll talk more about that next week. So if you're excited to learn more about van life, and again, it is a different Joe Rogan, but just as amazing as the other one, please tune in next week, same time, same channel, bring your friends, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys. Until then, Keasha and everyone, here's to your best health, your best wealth, and your best wisdom. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed this, please subscribe, refer a friend, and please drop me a rating or a review. If you do that, I'll reward you with a free 20-minute free coaching session on crafting your journey to your best self. Reach out to me at lois@loiskofi.com to claim your 20-minute slot. Until next time, be healthy, wealthy, and wise.